Hello guys, I hope you are all doing well. Leo nimechelewa kidogo but yeah, I have my own issues as to why nimechelewa kidogo, but I hope mko sawa. Yeah, karibuni kwa show. Karibuni sana. For those who will be joining, so let me just paste the link. Mmemaliza kusherehekea Father's Day ama bado guys? Innocent and your fellows. Mmemalizia kusherehekea Father's Day? Nikiwaambia happy Father's Day leo, is it too late ama bado ni mapema guys? Bado ni mapema ama Father's Day bado inasemwa niwaambie bado happy Father's Day? Should I? Happy Father's Day kwa wale wakina baba. Happy Father's Day kwa kina baba. I hope you had a good one. Mlipewa ma surprise. I hope mlipewa ma surprise. Nani hakukuwa surprised ama kuishiwa Father's Day? Before I go before I go into what I have to talk about today. Yeah. Anyway, nimeona leo nani ametua mlimani Kasongo. ametua mlimani pale na mabesti wake kina Waiguru, akamiminia wananchi wa Kirinyaga promises mingi hapo. This thing should not fumble. Kasongo amekuja pale mlimani akawamiminia promises kochokocho. Hi Musyoka, how are you today? I can see umeingia uwanjani. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you can hear me clearly now. Naona Musyoka ameingia uwanjani. Musyoka, how was Father's Day? Uliwishiwa? Ulibaiwa zawadi? Ama wewe bado nini? Haya. So, I'll start with nimeona Sifuna amefurushwa ODM officially. This can't never cease to amaze me. Nianze na kabla niende kwa hii niambie Sijui kama mnanisikia vizuri ama upotea kidogo. I think kulikuwa na some error ya network. Kasongo leo amekuwa huko mlimani. Watu wa mlima sijui mnasemaje kuhusu haya, because alisema yeye ni rafiki yenu tangu kitambo na mtu hawezi sitisha urafiki, hawezi ingililia katikati ya urafiki wenu. So let me just start with this before I open the tab. Let me just share the tab so that yeah, so just let me just share the screen.
Endorsed the removal from office of Senator Edwin Watenya Sifuna.
EM just pulled the trigger. Edwin Sifuna, Senator. Full public.
I don't know if you guys mnasikia vizuri or inakwama. Kama inakwama, you just tell me to resolve the issue.
The removal from office of
Kenyans call their own.
I think I have to work on something. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. I said something here because I just yeah, I hope it behaves. Just do it the normal way.
endorsed the removal from office of Senator Edwin Watenya Sifuna.
Mimi ndo Sifuna.
Late night
I think I'll just have to play it the normal way because alright, this alright, disconnect the network and connect again. If it doesn't work now, I just
endorsed the removal.
the man a million Kenyans call their own has been removed as ODM Secretary General by the party's national executive.
I don't know if you guys are able to kuisikia hii video sawa.
Senator Edwin Kenya after going through the report, and the NEC unanimously resolved to adopt the committee's recommendation and endorsed the removal from office of Senator
surgical and arguably illegal. Sifuna ran the police.
The video started tu vizuri and then my device started misbehaving. So I think I'll just have to play it kama kawaida maybe, and then I'll work to resolve the issue. Yeah, so I'll have to play it that way.
Yeah, Sifuna. Mimi ndio Sifuna. ODM just pulled the trigger. Edwin Sifuna, Senator, street fighter, the man a million Kenyans call their own, has been removed as ODM Secretary General by the party's national the executive committee. Just like that, after months of political chess, late-night tribunal battles, and a party civil war playing out in full public view, the NEC sat down today and finished what they started in February. The boy from Kandui has been shown the door. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, and welcome to our very vibrant orange Chungwa house. Chungwa house. Here's the thing about doors. Sometimes the man walking out is more dangerous than the one staying in. You cannot keep him in the party. He's gone. Hata uko na ujasiri wa kuchestampia. Hata unatolea mheshimiwa rais kifua chako. Na hiyo kifua chako hata nikikiona hakifai. ODM's National Secretary Committee met today, and when they stood up from that table, Edwin Sifuna was no longer Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Movement. It is done. After months of legal battles, tribunal rulings, procedural objections, and a party civil war loud enough to wake the dead, the NEC has resolved officially to remove Sifuna from the position he has held, defended, and bled for. The party says it has now addressed all procedural concerns raised by the political parties' disputes tribunal. Clean hands, they claim. Job done, they clapped.
The NEC received and considered the report of the party's internal dispute resolution committee that was constituted in accordance with Article 51, 3F of the party constitution to hear and determine the complaint concerning Senator Edwin Watenya Sifuna in his capacity as the Secretary General. After going through the report and the findings of the IDRS under Article 74, Section 2 of the party constitution, the NEC unanimously resolved to adopt the committee's recommendation and endorsed the removal from office of Senator Edwin Watenya Sifuna. Effectively, Senator Sifuna ceases to be the Secretary General of the ODM party.
But nothing about this story is clean. Let's go back to where this fire was first lit. February 11th, 2026. ODM's NEC passed an initial resolution to remove Sifuna as Secretary General. No fair hearing, no due process, just a decision. Swift, surgical, and arguably illegal. Sifuna ran to the political parties' disputes tribunal, and the PPDT agreed with him. That February resolution was partially nullified. You can't fire a man without giving him a chance to speak. Even in Kenyan politics, there are rules. But ODM is not a party that takes a loss and goes home quietly. On June 18th, 2026, the PPDT handed down a second ruling, this time allowing ODM to proceed with internal disciplinary action while striking down the rushed corner-cutting version of the removal. In other words, the tribunal didn't protect Sifuna. It only told the ODM to do the job properly, and today they did.
As the National Executive Committee,
Sorry for the hand.
we were presented by a report of our internal disciplinary committee, and we were hoping that the chair might be here. And in that report, in that report, they made it very clear that they have given ample opportunity to Senator Edwin Sifuna to respond. And he actually responded through his lawyers, Senior Counsel Okero, Isaac Okero. And therefore, the question of the procedural consent has been taken care of. He was given the opportunity to respond. I think that was your question.
Now, Sifuna, per the NEC, is free to remain as an ordinary member or to form his own party. That sentence is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Ordinary member, For a man who has spent years as one of the loudest, sharpest voices in the Senate, for a man with 1.38 million followers on X, for a man who has stood at a rally after rally in Sika, in Githurai, in Kiambu, telling Kenyans that the opposition is not dead. Ordinary member, they might as well have handed him a broom and pointed him toward the back of the room.
Our party constitution places a responsibility on us to fight for ODM, and fight we shall. Through all lawful means, we shall fight for this great institution until the very end. We will challenge every illegality in the court of law and in the court of public opinion. Surrender is not an option for us.
It is what ODM does not seem to understand, or perhaps understands too well and is gambling on anyway. Martyrs are made, not born. Every move designed to diminish Edwin Sifuna has had the opposite effect. When they removed him from the Senate Energy Committee, a committee chaired by Oburu Odinga himself, the streets didn't see a disciplined party. They saw a family protecting its own turf. When reports emerged that he would be stripped of his deputy minority whip position when the Senate resumes on July 15th, political commentators didn't call it a victory for ODM. They called it a gift to Sifuna. Every wound that they inflict becomes a badge.
I see this removal from the Energy Committee being an indication that the Oburu fears to face Sifuna. In other words, that Sifuna will make Oburu very uncomfortable chairing a committee with an active member like Sifuna inside that committee. So in very simple English, you see English is not our language. So we have just used the most simple and basic words. And the word people are using that Oburu fears Sifuna. That doesn't look to me like a plus on the part of those who want to attack Sifuna. This is a plus on Sifuna. Because then it grows his popularity. And remember, every time you attack somebody who is supposed to be weaker than you, sympathy goes his direction. People always sympathize with the underdog.
The man social media users are calling the boy from Kandui. Everyone is now saying Yeye ni Sifuna, and has become something bigger than a party title. That phrase has taken on a life of its own online and on the ground. It speaks to roots, to someone who remembers where he came from. In a political landscape full of men who forgot where they came from, Sifuna knows, and many say he is in the hearts of the people.
Munaniona vizuri. Munaniona vizuri. Mimi ndio Sifuna.
And then there is Linda Mwananchi movement. Sifuna has been quietly and not so quietly building this vehicle, rallying ground, new faces, new energy, his own lane. Figures like Faith Odhiambo are in the orbit. This is not a man sitting at home waiting for ODM to call him back. Whether he formalizes Linda Mwananchi into a party or uses it as a pressure group, the infrastructure is being assembled, block by block, ward by ward. Meanwhile, ODM is doing its own arithmetic. The party loyalists argue that this is about discipline, that Sifuna's vision no longer aligned with where the orange ship was sailing, that you cannot have a secretary general going rogue on the public stage while the party is trying to hold itself together ahead of 2027.
And then I become the next CEO of the Georgics. And resist the efforts by President William Ruto to hostilely take over this party. We will not allow it. The problem in ODM is President Ruto. We are asking President Ruto to let ODM go, let ODM alone. This party is a party like a club. When you join a club, you have to obey the rules of that club.
You cannot disobey the rules of the club and you continue to brand yourself that I am the party leader of ODM and yet I contradict everything that ODM is saying. There is a logic to that argument. Parties are not democracies. They are machines, and machines require alignment. But the political cost of removing a popular figure 6 months after failing to do it cleanly, the first time is a bill that will come due. What does Sifuna do next? As of this afternoon, he had not issued a formal public statement on today's NEC resolution. He will. That silence itself is a message. He's letting the story breathe, letting the anger on his behalf build without putting a lid on it. When he speaks, and he will speak, he will be speaking to a base that already feels wronged on his behalf. The road to 2027 in Kenya is not a road, it is a minefield. And ODM just made one of its own consequential moves in this pre-election season. Whether it was wise is a question only the ballot box will answer. The man from Kandoi is now free. The question is, free to do what? Drop your comments. Newsroom.
So you've all seen what has happened, na mwanahabari ambaye anaangazia haya maswala amemalizia kwa kukuuliza kwamba do you think that Sifuna is now free now that they have washamwambia waziwazi uamuzi ushatolewa? Do you think that he will be finally free na ataacha sasa kwenda rally akisema mimi kama katibu mkuu wa ODM and then he just starts a new life? He just starts a new life. Kama ni huo kwa linda mwananchi yake aanze maisha mapya. Hiyo story ya kujita yeye ndio SG wa ODM awache. And there was also another thing that they have talked about. Do you guys think that Oburu fears Sifuna? Because last week tuliona Energy Committee alitolewa, just as it's been said here. This week ndo huyu ameshatolewa kama SG wa ODM. But do you think this will really shake Sifuna? Now that, or they think that he will run back to them? Arudi apigie Oburu na Wanga magoti? Do you think Sifuna is that kind of a man who will go and bow before Oburu and Wanga waambie please nirudisheni or something? But all in all, since Baba died, ODM has just been doing things that has been making the party irudi into the holes. If you see the popularity of let me say, when Raila was still alive, ODM had popularity in all parts, almost all the parts of Kenya. But now, if you see Mombasa, the only people who are at the nini of ODM wako hapo hivyo, it's Joho na au mabeshte zake wenye wamepewa kazi pale Senate, kina speaker, kina whatever, na hao kina Mvuri ambao wamekatiwa kamkate. So if it couldn't be for that, kama Joho angekuwa aliteuliwa kama waziri kwa hii current government, I don't think Joho could be supporting this government. I don't think. Wamekuwa washatoka washaenda kuform chama chao cha Coast immediately Raila died. But now, because he was given this position, and number one Kenya's number one priority of Kenyan leaders is to guard their positions. Mtu haezi taka ninio ati aongee mbaya position yake iende, na hapo ndio anapata mkate wake wa kila siku. So I don't know what you all think about the ODM party. Are they seeing themselves as now that kutimua Sifuna and getting another person as a Secretary General, maybe it will bring Sifuna down, or I don't know. And there was a video like just as Orengo has said that the problem in ODM is Ruto. And I think problems started in ODM when they invited Ruto. Huyu mtu akiinvitiwa, huyu mtu ukimuinvite tu kwa maisha yako, mikosi inaanza, fight starts. So it's like Ruto is just a person, akikuja mahali mambo inaharibika. I can see Mama Mary is here. Wacha ni welcome anene nasi kidogo kabla tuendelee. Welcome Mama Mary.
Asante Valerie, na kusalimia. Niko na homa kali, kwa hivyo nikisikia kukohoa nitaondoka. Yeah, so
Pole.
yeah, nilipatwa na homa. Habari ya nyinyi, habari ya Wakenya wetu, comment section. Mimi niko hivyo, yani vile tu mwili kila mara lazima ipate maumivu, kwa sababu sisi tumeumbwa na viungo za aina hiyo. Otherwise I'm putting on. Yeah, umesema habari ya Sifuna. There are things that these people, I don't know whether they know, sometimes things become monotonous when you keep on saying and saying again and again. Just leave it. Usema ati wewe ndio katibu mkuu. There is no need. In fact, all those people who are following Sifuna, they are not following because they ni katibu. They are not following him because yeye akona cheo fulani. It's because they see a man who have different idea from this evil regime. Mtu ambaye amekataa kabisa kuungana na watu wachafu, watu wabaya ambao wanaongoza nchi yetu. That is the only thing. Si kwa sababu yeye ni katibu wa ODM ama nini. And so this should be put away and then move forward with the goal that people want to hear. Tuambie utatufanyia nini, tuambie kwa nini unataka kuwa vile uko. In fact, those are the best things that we want to hear. Hiyo habari ya cheo fulani ama nini, we don't want. Hiyo itamfanya sasa kuonekana kama he doesn't have another agenda ya kuendeleza nchi yetu ama kufanya watu wamuelewe vizuri. Because you are fighting too much about katibu. Wachana na hiyo. Me, that is my take. That is what I think. I would not fight for such kind of a thing. If I remain to be, let me be. Watu wacha waseme mimi ni katibu, lakini mimi sitasema mimi ni katibu. Mimi naongea ile mambo inahusu Kenya. The things that people are going through. Those are the things that are very important right now, ambazo watu wanataka kusikia. Watu wanataka kujua hali yetu vile iko, itakuwa changed na nani. Ni nani anataka kusimama na sisi ndio atubadilishie hii maisha ambayo ni magumu sana kwetu. So those are things that I think it's better to be in a rally, uambie watu mambo ambayo inahusu wananchi. The other thing I wanted to say, Ruto anashinda hapo akiapa hapa ati polisi watafanya kazi yao. Let's do this, Mr. Ruto. Don't send police. Let police relax. Wacha waende huko wakapige viatu zao rangi. Wakae huko kwa nyumba zao. Sisi tunatembea peacefully. Uone kama kuna jambo litatokea. Let them go. Let them not come to the maandamano. Uone kama kuna kitu you know, they'll be ashamed. If only they can let us control ourselves. Wasitume hao mapolisi kwa sababu ni miigizo. Polisi wanatumwa alafu wanakuja na hao magoons. That is how it is. Kwa sababu magoons hata wao wanataka kuwa shielded by the police. Ndio iwe police ati ndio wanaangalia wananchi, na kumbe hata sio wao, wako na watu wengine huko, raia wako na marungu. Don't send anybody, don't send security. We know how to control ourselves, na sisi si watu wa kuharibu nchi yetu. We cannot, hatuwezi pora maduka za watu. Sisi tunafuata njia moja, tunafuatana wote, tunaenda peacefully. We are peaceful. And I think he was told that we are peaceful. Why are you, throwing bullets on us? Why are you shooting us? We are peaceful. Only water, my phone, and my flag. That's it. Sina mawe, sina rungu, sina gun. So don't send your police and you'll see how Kenyans will behave. Wacha kusema ati sisi ndio tunaharibu mabiashara za watu. Ebu, this time round, try to do that, Mr. Ruto. Stay away from this maandamano. Police wakae kando, wakae nyumbani, ndio mtakuja kuaibika kabisa. Because you will find nothing done by the good raia wa nchi ya Kenya. Those are things that I look at as a lay person. Mambo ambayo mimi naona furugu zote huwa zinatoka kwa upande wa serikali. Wao ndio wanaleta hizo furugu, but they want to change the story to look different. Hao wakina Langat na Kanja na whatever, Masingeli, kaeni na watu wenu huko. Just stay home and watch. Stay on your TVs and watch how people will do their maandamano. Lakini the moment you guys get in, that is when furugu zinatokea. Kwa nini? This time round, give us a break. Nyinyi endeni mkapumzike. After all, even you give yourself a lot of hard time. Kaeni nyumbani. Pumzikeni. Let it be a holiday for you. And we will walk on our street. We will touch nothing. Ndio muone nyinyi ndio masumbuko ya nchi. Otherwise, Valerie, that is all I wanted to say. Na Kenya wetu, mnaona vile nchi yetu imegawanywa, imegawiwa watu wa nje, foreigners ndio wanagawana nchi yetu. And you people Kenyans, remember, mnakumbuka yule mama vile alisema ati this is the horn of Africa. That was terrible. Na nakumbuka Raila akisema huyu mama awe deported because that is not acceptable in our country. Because that is the moment that our Kenya was sold. Ndio ilianza kugawanwa. That is where the problem started. So, na sasa yule ambaye alikuwa amesema awe deported hayuko. So now they are relaxing and enjoying their words, zile walituambia. And that is what is going on. So please, Kenyans, ni sisi tutapigania nchi yetu, hakuna mtu mwingine. Ni sisi tutakataa ile mambo yote Ruto anajaribu kufanya kwa nchi yetu. Huyu mtu hata hajawahi kupigania nchi. If you look at his history from the word go up to today, he has been getting things on a silver platter. However, kwa sababu any ministry huyu mtu alikuwa anaingia, lazima kuwe na nduru. Anywhere he goes, lazima kuwe na nduru. Sahi yako kwa serikali, ni nduru everywhere, the whole country now. So you can imagine. The time of Uhuru, Ruto decided that because we are dividing the government into two people, akasema yeye achukue upande wa finance. Tulikuwa tunaambiwa na Uhuru, every day 2 billion is getting lost. Every day 2 billion is getting lost. Wenye walikuwa wanamfanyia hiyo kazi, walipata shida kubwa, walishikwa na hata kazi wakapoteza. Nakumbuka huyu anaitwa Rotich. The way he looked so beat up baada ya kuwa amepelekwa kotini. Na mwenye amefanya apelekwe kotini ni nani? Ni Ruto. Because Ruto walks on people's shoulders. Ndio footprints ama fingerprints zitapatikana. Nyinyi wenye kumsaidia kuiba ndio mtakuwa mnapata msakato. And that is how it is. He has never been taken.
And Mama Mary, have you realized watu wote wenye wanafanyanga na yeye biashara, he always makes sure that they perish. Mtu kama kina Chebukati wako wapi sahi kujibu maswali? Where are they?
They perish. Raila perished. So yani akikosa kukumaliza na njia hii ingine anakumaliza na hii ingine. That is how it is. Na kwa hivyo hakutakuwa na witness yoyote wa kutoa ushuhuda wa vile iliendelea. Because if Chebukati was still alive, maybe he could have reached a point of no return and say, mimi sitaumia na hii kitu na sitakufa nayo, nitasema. But because he knows how to eliminate these people, that's it. That's how it is. Anawatumia na anawamaliza. Look at the case of Hague, ICC. Washahidi wote waliisha. The last person who was finished ni huyu lawyer Gishero. And that is all. But when you hear the stories of how these things went, you just wonder, how are they that all those who are connected to this case, they were all dying mysteriously? Why? Why was it happening? So when you look at all those things and put them together, you have to be very, very careful to involve yourself with this person. That is all I would say. Na Wakenya mnajua kweli kabisa pahali mnaelekea si pazuri. Nchi yetu imekuwa ya kuchezewa na kila mtu. Because the doors are open, he doesn't care. The only thing he cares is for him to earn his money. He don't care whether you are fighting or you are dying. He cares only what he's putting in his pocket. That's all. So Kenyans, it's your turn to think and work and fight for your country. Asante Valerie. Thank you.
Thank you. I also don't know kama Mama Mary umekuwa unafuatilia history ya the 3 foreign armies who are taking over our barracks. I've just seen one I think he's a leader of the communist, amekuwa anaongelesha Kenyans about it, and yeah, it's not nice.
Mimi nilikuwa nafikiria ni mambo tu watu wanaongea. I had not confirmed about that.
It just shows that things just start going to the south. Hakuna mahali anaingia na mambo inakuwa sawa. I don't know the spirits that he has.
What? Yani watu sasa tutatawaliwa na jeshi ya kutoka nje.
It was the next video that I was going to play. 3 foreign armies take over major barracks.
Which major?
I've just seen the armies include French, US, definitely, and Britain. So it is. I just started watching, and yeah, it's actually the video that I wanted to play next.
Let's see how it plays out.
Are we really independent? Like,
no.
This person we are trying to go forward.
You see, it is like going. It's like going backward. You know, backward, because you cannot fight for your country and then, as people head to stability, looking forward to develop your country, now then you are reversed to some things that you had already fought for. Even those people who are coming in What authority do they carry for the country which is already independent, and you come and bring your authority in? What does that mean? We will understand these things as they go, because hata Ebola sasa ile tuliambiwa ni Ebola, sasa hii vitu zimebadilika, sijui imeanza kuwa ni kitu ingine ilikuwa inatengenezwa, so we'll see, but people, let's be vigilant and know what exactly is going on. Jesus. Okay. All right. All right, Verena.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let me just play the video, msikie, and you see what this guy is saying about it.
If you don't want to get angry at the Kenyan government, please don't watch this video, because once you hear this, you won't hear it. Tukitangaza vita na Ruto, nani atamsaidia? Na Ruto akikaa pale anasaidia nani? Asaidie wengi wa Kenya. Anasaidia wale mabeberu. The imperialist agent tuko ng'ambo. So tukitengeneza mapambano ya silaha, watasema hawa wanajiita British. For decades, Kenya had one well-known foreign military presence. That is the British. So do let me know your level. Try to push left a bit. We can't push anymore right. It was controversial, yes, but it was familiar, predictable, almost very normal. Now fast forward to 2026, and civil society groups are now worried that Kenya would apparently be in the hands of more than one foreign military. Muka Omole, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Kenya, says at the moment Kenya is under the control of the British Army, the French Army, the USA Army. And the saddest part is the two military, or rather three militaries, already have bases in Kenya. Take a listen.
We reject that imperialist logic that you spread the risks in third world countries while the privileges are being consolidated, particularly when Vance and Trump says that no Ebola patients would enter into the territory of the United States. But on the other side, they are paying President William Samoei to establish a risk center that probably will endanger more Kenyan citizens, because Kenyan healthcare is already unprepared to handle any crisis whatsoever. The second is the logic of parliament. Remember, for this facility to be here, Batuk, this British training unit, first of all, we have to understand it from its historical base. Batuk was never meant to train British to fight other wars. It was established after the flag independence in 1963 for a fact to deal with the remnants of Mau Mau that had remained in the forest, to make sure that the then Jomo Kenyatta regime could not be overthrown. This was its logic. Secondly, it is here to protect British interests. And in Laikipia County, and particularly in this region, you realize that there's so many conservancies, mainly stealing minerals, and not in the sense of protecting any, livelihood in Kenya. So the Batuk, as we head off, there is nothing we can expect in Parliament. Remember last time, even though they raised issues about termination of this British training, unit here, they later on were handled by the lobby groups, and Parliament unanimously agreed to continue with this training unit. And 2 months ago, we already also have another military occupation agreement that has been signed between President Macron and Ruto. This was also presented in Parliament, and Kenya is preparing again to have a French military base here. We also have 2 United States military bases. The entire Mother Islands, the archipelago in Lamu, was handed over to United States military base. And remember, we also have the Garissa garrison. All these are properties of the Kenyan people that has been handed over to foreign governments.
we are holding the clearest view that you cannot have the lethal power stationed in your country, not in your interest, but in the interest of the enemy. The British soldiers, the United States soldiers do not need to bring boots on the ground to overthrow our government. They can overthrow it tomorrow when they want, because they have the unmanned drones, they have high capability in terms of military hardware, and they only need this to make sure that Ruto is a good puppet. That if you dare oppose the United States of French, then you can be overthrown on your land. So even Ruto himself is not safe. He must remain a prisoner of foreign interest for as long as our sovereignty is compromised. So from our correct perspective as the Communist Party is that we are campaigning to remove all military bases, all foreign military bases without negotiations in our country. And we say to the Laikipia people, particularly the Nanyuki people, you have our full support, and nothing will be won without a struggle. Tutapambana tu, hamtapata anything bila mapambano. Maisha ni kupambana. Hata wale wakoloni wa British walitolewa na silaha kali ya Dedan Kimathi. Hawakutolewa ati walienda kwa diplomacy kuongea. Wale pia wauaji wa watu, hawabakaji hawa wametoka nchi ya ng'ambo. Mambo ni kupambana nao kwa kila namna tunaweza. So kwa wale watu wametutembelea hapa, tunasema ya kwamba mapambano iendelee dhidi ya all foreign military bases without compromise. This is my my submission on behalf of my party. Thank you very much. Wale majambazi wa koloni, wale wauaji wa watu, wale wezi wa shamba wako hapa Nanyuki. Ndio tuko nao hapa. Hakuna njia nyingine ya kusema. Kama wale wakora waliiba mali ya nchi, wakachukua shamba, alafu tukaenda pale London kutafuta justice, wale wa Mau, ilichukua muda gani? Ilikuwa muda nyingi sana, almost 60 years after the land theft and the murder of the native people in Kenya. Ndio justice ikapatikana kidogo tu, ndio sasa wakaenda kuongea mambo ya pesa kulipa wale wa British walikuwa watu wengi sana wakitafuta nini hapa Kenya. Hawakuwa wamekuja kutafuta njia ya kusaidia Wakenya. Wao walikuja kuua watu na kuiba shamba na uporaji wa mali ya rasilimali hapa Kenya. Hapa wao wanasema ni Baduk, ni British Training Institute. Wana train wapi? Hapa, sio? Lakini hii training ni kusaidia watu wa Nanyuki. Hii training ni bandia tu. Hakuna training inafanyika hapa. Hii ni uwizi wa mali ya rasilimali ya watu. Inaibwa hapa. Hakuna training hapa inafanyika. Hii mambo yote ya conservancy. The white British colonizer is not your friend. He's an enemy. Hata Mau ilifundisha na wao na kupiga na bunduki tu. There is no sovereignty when we have occupiers. Hii ratiba ya kuleta Baduk kila wakati inaenda parliament. Every year wale tuliwachagua pale wanaenda Nairobi kutuwakilisha, kama kuhakikisha kwamba sheria ya nchi si tu sheria, lakini ile article 1 ili nasema sovereignty lies in the hands of the Kenyan people. Wanakaa pale kwa parliament, ingawa 2 years ago karibu tumalize kazi, lakini ikawa tu kumaliza kazi mzuri, tukafanya halfway. Lakini ile parliament yote ni ya majambazi. Kweli sema. Kama Baduk wanaenda pale, last year walienda kurenew ratiba ya kukaa hapa Nanyuki. Hizi mambo ya county tu, ni mambo ya the nation. Wale tumewachagua kwenda kutengeneza sheria wanapitisha ya kwamba serikali ya Ulaya ya British wakuwe hapa kuendelea na mambo yao hapa na nyuki. Lazima tuseme ya kwamba the greatest threat to our sovereignty is the illegal occupation of Kenya by foreign military bases. Ilianza hapa na British. The first illegal settlement. What was the purpose for this Batuk? This was to prevent the agents of British imperialism from being overthrown. Tukitangaza vita na Ruto, nani atamsaidia? Na Ruto akikaa pale anasaidia wengi wa Kenya. Anasaidia wale mabeberu. The imperialist agent tuko ngambo. So tukitengeneza mapambano ya silaha, watasema hawa wanajiita British. Ndio atasaidia to save Ruto from the wrath. Ya pili hata si ya Batu. Tukiongea mambo ya military bases, now we have 3 illegal military bases. And the third one is Kano. Tumejua ya kwamba America, United States, has robbed an entire archipelago in Lamu, Mother Islands. Tuko pale, our country is being occupied by the United States. They have taken an entire garrison, huko Garissa, jambazi yao. Macron akakuja hapa. Wakaenda wakasign another military occupation agreement kuleta majambazi wa Ufaransa hapa. Wale wamefukuzwa huko West Africa. There is no friend of the Kenyan people that comes to establish a military base in your country without even paying 1 cent for an inch of your land. This land for Nyanyuki people was taken for free. Hapa Nyanyuki, we have the biggest problem of landlords. The big landlords are white farmers who continue to steal land, and not just steal land in the name of protecting wanyama. Kwani maisha ya wanyama ni wazuri kuliko maisha ya binadamu hapa Nyanyuki. Ndio hata Wamasai mnakulanga nyama mnakulanga nyama ya nini? Ya game meat. Mnakulanga hata mnafaa kukaa ndio mna guide hiyo mambo ya huko ndani. Lakini now a foreign person coming to say that they can run a conservancy here in the name of protecting wild animals against their own people. So in terms of sovereignty, the Communist Party Marxist of Kenya takes the clear that the primary enemy of the world is United States imperialism. Na subcontractor yake ni French na British. British is degenerating. Say British haina power. Actually, the British politician is being controlled by the bigot in White House. So, tukikaa hapa Nyanyuki, tunasema hakuna kitu tutapata bila mapambano. Maisha ni kupambana. Hata tukiona mkitoka sisi huko Nairobi tunasikia uzuri sana. Ati at least huko Nyanyuki watu wamejitolea mstari ya mbele kupinga ukoloni mamboleo. Na leo nilikuja hapa mimi nakuja kuwapea moyo. Mtoke nje. Wote na mpinge Gasigwa.
Yeah, so you've seen this thing of military bases. 3 illegal military bases. We also during colonialism that imperialism was the worst part of neocolonialism, especially for areas that were controlled or colonized by France. They made sure, these people made sure, you could speak their language. You can see most of the West African countries, most of the Central African countries, they speak French in totality. So in French imperialism, they made sure that they had interfered with the African culture totally. If you go to some of those West African countries, they have some French words that they find it hard to date them back to term them in their own native language because they don't know French. The French language has dominated, and if you see all in most of the francophone countries is where most coup d'etats have happened. A lot of coup d'etats have happened in those areas, and the agreement that they made with these people during those times, mainly the military and economic accords. The military accords ndio zimefanya hata most of the coup d'etats zimeoka huko, and now this person is bringing to us these people. I don't know kama mlisoma hizo ninio MOU between Ruto na Macron, sijui kama mmezisoma. And the biggest threat mimi niliona kwa hiyo agreement was the military one. The military na hapo kwa natural resources. When it comes to that, hawa watu hawachezi, hawa Faransa hawachezi na hiyo mambo. Watakamua hii nchi na watawaacha dry. Mimi kitu inanishangaza ni kwani Ruto hachoki? He doesn't get tired. He doesn't get tired of hurting Kenyans. Ni nini shida yake? Like ni nini namsumbua? Sometimes I sit down and ask myself questions. Nini nasumbua Ruto? Ni njaa. Ni njaa inamkimbiza up and down kwenda huko kutuletea things that itatukamua sisi kama nchi and leave us tukue like skeletons. Is it njaa? Sijui kama mnajua ile methali ya Kiswahili inasema maskini akipata. Lakini sasa tulikuwa tunasema hasra atawale dynasty ya juu shida zetu, but when this hasra has tawalad amepeleka huko hii njaa yake yote. Hata kama ni njaa, this is too much. Hata kama ni njaa, this is too much. Yake imezidi. I don't know what we can call it, but hapana. This accord that he's signing. Mumeona West Africa, the economic accords that they signed, unapata the aniniyo is still controlled by the Central Bank of France. Most of those countries are using CFA franc. They don't have independence. They don't have economic independence. They don't have military independence. What was the role of the Westphalia Treaty? So that states can be established and have their own sovereignty and whatever. What is the essence? There is no essence. Mimi I don't know. Sometimes nashanganga huyu mtu anataka aje. Sometimes hadi mimi akiongea I look at him hadi niko like, what are you made of? Umeundwa na nini? Guys, Mungu atuepushe na shetani mwovu. And I also saw another parliamentarian who was talking about that in parliament, but I don't know if they took him seriously or wako tu hapo. It is not the one thing that hurts me is that he never gets tired.
It's at over 240.
He never gets tired of hurting Kenyans.
Children diapers.
He never gets tired of hurting Kenyans. Unaamka leo ni hii, like hata kama ni kupigana, hata kama ni kuenda kwa streets. Hey, this is too much. What should we do? If it is screaming, we have screamed. If it is inflation, wenyewe tuna witness and how it is vile inatuumiza sisi kama wananchi. but still you still bringing many other things. Like, you remember during the colonial times, yeah, they could take the good lands, they could make like hiyo wakati Kenya, is it when they introduced this thing of kipande system? Tutaanza tutarudi kwa mambo ya kipande system. Overtaxation, land grabbing, such things. Guys, Kenya has been a country that imekuwa fully civilized. Tumekuwa tunaendelea kwenda mbele. We've been fighting for, we've been at least reaching a revolutionary moment, but this guy has come and dragged this country back. It's like now we're going back to the colonial era. The independence that was fought for by the Mau Mau is not, how can I term it? Haipo. Hiyo independence haipo. When you read this book, Not Yet Uhuru, bado hatujapata uhuru. In this era, who still fights for uhuru? Nani anapigania independence bado sahi? In the 21st century. Yani sisi Kenya, in the 21st century, instead of us focusing on important socio-economic issues that can push our country forward, we'll be there fighting for independence again. Guys, we have to be serious as a country. We really have to be serious as a country. And then you just find other people talking here hapa nje saying that Ruto ni two-term. Sisi tunaenda kuvotia two-term so that we punish a certain tribe. Paka you look at these people and wonder, guys, do you guys know what this person is doing to this economy? Do you know what this person is doing to us and the effect that it has to the future generation? Is it even time to sit down and saying that we will vote for Ruto so as to punish this tribe? Is it time for that? I think someone just has to go and sit these people down. I don't know, Mimi, I've tried to talk to some, because the majority of them, the people that are talking that way, they're the people who are not hawajakuwa ninio with the what is going on in our country, with these little things zinajificha ficha, which might end up taking us to, yeah, they don't know. That's why they're talking that way. Yani, they're just seeing things black and white. And sometimes I don't blame them. That is why we always walk, we sit them down and explain to them, this is this and that, and we want to remove this person because of this and that. Put your emotions aside. We make sure that this person goes home. He is not good for this country. This guy is poisonous to this country. This guy is poisonous to this country. And we're supposed to throw him out. If we don't do this now, tutalilia kwa choo. Tutalilia kwa choo. Na mwanze na kusafisha hapo kwa parliament. Parliament yote ing'are. All the goons should go home. The 187 goons who didn't go to vote for the finance bill, plus the 122 goons, they should all go home. Waende nyumbani. We don't need this kind of government. This is more than poison. This is more than poison, and we don't want it. We don't want these things to happen. Three illegal military bases. Just to make sure that the puppet continues to dominate that. No, Kenya, you're not heading to the right direction. We will not accept to go into where some of the West African countries have gone to. Ukiangalia development huko, look at Congo. Guys, look at Congo. a country with vast minerals, a country with potential to grow. But where is it? Ni vita, ni vita, ni uasi tu. Nothing can happen there. Development cannot happen. Waliwakubali, wakaingia. Now they have done their distractions. Is even Congo a country that you can just sit with peace? And even those people, like, if you see the region that where the fights are happening, education, tabu. Mtasoma saa ngapi? At what time will you do agriculture? Mumepanda hivyo kidogo, vurugu imeanza, mmefukuzwa, mmetoroka. I don't know if you just watch films of these countries where there is war, it is not pretty. And that is where Kasongo wants to lead us to. Us as Kenyans, we should stand up and say no to that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care, Chenwambi. This guy, he doesn't care. Now, mimi sijui the reason as to why he doesn't care. That is why mi ushangaa ameumbwa na material gani. We're not supposed to entertain this guy. We are all supposed to put all our differences together. Not just to kuangalia the 2027 elections, but kuangalia, apart from kuangalia hizo 2027 election, ni kuangalia the kind of destruction that this person wants to cause to this nation, the kind of harm that this person wants to cause to this nation. Because it will take time to repair these things again. Na hiyo time tungekuwa tumetumia, with that time and energy, we could have used it to do something else that is beneficial to us as a people of this country. We've been battling some of the things that we've been wanting as a country since Jomo Kenyatta akuwe president. I can't use the name since we got independence because we can clearly see matope yenye huyu jamaa anataka kutufanyia hapa. We want to start going in the mud. Are we still in an era penye tutaanza kwenda kutafuta forest tukikimbizana na like nini during the Mau Mau did? Do we still want to go back to that era? Nani sasa anataka kwenda kichaka kukimbizana? And they always say that we use diplomacy, negotiation, nini. But does it really work? Does it really work? Does it solve our problems? Will that kind of problem need negotiation with these people? With them coming to our land? No. Hapana. It won't work that way. I don't know if it was I don't know alikuwa ni MP mgani. I heard the clip who was speaking about this Batuk issue. Kenya penye tumefika, tuongelee gani tuache gani? Tuongelee gani tuache gani? Tutaongelea corruption? Tutaongelea corruption? Tutaongelelea land grabbing? Tutaongelelea the introduction of imperialists here? Tutaongelelea overtaxation? Tutaongelelea cost of living? Tutaongelelea brutal murder of citizens and abductions? Really? What should we talk about? Alafu natuambia we should tighten our belts. What should we cry about? Because kila pande ya nchi imekuwa kilio. Tuanze na gani kulia? Because hatujamaliza kulia hii, ishakuja. Hatujamaliza kulia hii. Ai, man. Even if it's you, it's very hard to do this, man. God should watch us. If he's watching over us, then he should do it for us as Kenyans. Atulie kwanza, achane na hizo nchi zingine kwanza zitulie, akuje kwanza atuokoe sisi. If he is really listening. I've never seen an instance in this country where now people are crying to God, please God, if it is ninio, just do away with this. I've never seen in any country like in this country. Huyu ndo president wa kwanza kufanya watu walie and God. Let me just sometimes I look at this guy's face and I'm like, the parliament itself is planning to renew the agreement with the Batuk. These military bases that we are talking about. And you know what? The military base in Nanyuki, what the military have done. Wenyewe mnajua? Actually, I've found the video. Yeah, Parliament plans to renew agreement with Batuk. We elected goats. Let me just put in here, you see.
Batuk's president. President Ruto or the British. Nimelaumiwa sana hapa.
Alaumiwe huyu. Huyu si wa kubembelezwa na si wa kuwekwa, si wa kufugwa huyu. He should be taken home as soon as huyu si wa kufugwa. Huyu atachoma hii nchi. Huyu tusipomfukuza ataharibu kila kona, ataharibu kila kitu. There was just another day that I was trying to demonstrate to you here that it's like this Kipchirchir is just a toddler. Kazi yetu kama Wakenya ni kumwambia baba usiguze, like you see a toddler who is mwenye, let me say, mtoto yule ameanza kutembea. Ameanza kutembea. Anatembea akishikilia vitu. Akipata pale jiko ataweka mkono ndani ya chomeke. Akipata chai imekelewa juu ya hiyo jiko ataweka mkono ndani ya chomeke. Akipata maji imewekwa mahali atamwaga imwagike nyumba yote. Akipata mafuta mahali kwa meza, wewe mtoto atachota hiyo mafuta yote ajipake every part of the body without even realizing how much this money is or how much my mom spent to do this. That is what Kipchirchir is doing with this country. He's a toddler and we are the ones parenting him. Tuko like, Kipchirchir, usiengage na Macron alifanya hivi West Africa. Kipchirchir, please don't overtax us. Tunamuelezea shida zake as if he lives in a different continent. Kipchirchir usiguze hii. Kipchirchir usisaini hii deal. Ebola ikikuja itatuua, ni ugonjwa mbaya. Hapana, we are tired of parenting this person. This person should just be chased the Nepal way. We are tired as a country. Hapana, huyu atatumaliza. Atatumaliza. It is not pretty. Sisi kama Wakenya tumechoka. Na hii
mimi nimelaumiwa sana.
Naona anasema hapa amelaumiwa sana. He should be accused more. Bado sasa. Kenya inataka iturn kama, you see, sometimes I get tired of talking about this country, but wananchi muamke. Naona hiyo maandamano yenye nafaa kuwa ya Gen Z 25th ametoa vitisho yeye pamoja na wenzake hawa kina Murkomen, hadi hiyo kina opposition, kina Faruk, kina sijui Harun Cheruiyot, wanatolea watu sana vitisho. I don't know what they are afraid of. The people said they are just going to the streets to remember their friends who are killed. So sijui hii vitisho ya kufikiria goons wenye watakuja wawashe mali ya watu those people goons goons ni wao. Goons ni wao. Tumeona juzi mwenzao huko Nakuru akiwa na wake. So that is it. Acha niwekee hii ya parliament sasa. Because they are planning to renew the agreement with the Batuk. Nimeona tu juzi hapa Macron mkafikiria Macron amekuja kuchoma mahindi. Bas. Hiyo mahindi amechoma sasa iko karibu kuanza kuliwa.
Anyway, son, I've been accused. Who really runs Kenya? Is it Parliament, President Ruto, or the British Army?
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, nice. Buy Kenya, build Kenya.
This is a question many Kenyans are now asking, and this is why.
Kama ni mimi ningeulizwa warudi kwa sababu hata kama wengine wetu wanasema tuna benefit hapa na pale, hiyo ni haki yetu kupewa kwa sababu wamekuja na kulikuwa na haki. So hiyo sio ati kusaidia wana sio kusaidia, sio ati kusaidia wana kusaidia.
Just months ago, Parliament took the extraordinary step of declaring the British Army Training Unit Kenya, also known as Batuk, as an occupying force in the country. And the move followed serious allegations in Nanyuki, including sexual assaults and murder.
It is not lost to my mind that in the last Parliament, Mr. Speaker, this House declined to assent to the renewal of the terms of service and the terms of training of the British Army Training Unit in Kenya, the Batuk. Mr. Speaker, when we refused to sign up and regularize Batuk's presence in Kenya, we took a hitting as a House, Mr. Speaker. But in this 13th Parliament, the Parliament has been able to pass that British Army Training Unit in Kenya can practice and train on our mother soil, Mr. Speaker. However, that was not without a rider. This House put a rider, and the rider was serious, Mr. Speaker. The rider was saying that there is no way that a British officer can end up committing a crime in Kenya and not tried in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the British Army Training Unit is known to have killed our people. They are known to have raped our women. They are known to have maimed our people. Mr. Speaker, they are also known for serious environmental degradation.
Of course, it sounded like a bold reclaiming of sovereignty. And for a moment, it felt like history was correcting itself. And many expected the next headline to read, Batuk officially exits Kenya. But that's not what happened. The very same parliament that branded Batuk an occupying force is now sitting across the table, entertaining the thoughts of a brand new agreement to keep those same troops on Kenyan soil. The 5-year Batuk deal, which expired in 2025, is back on the table under review between the Kenya Parliament and the British Army. Here's where the unease deepens. While the Parliament is blatantly flirting with the British Army, families like that of Agnes Wajiro are still waiting for justice. 14 years after her brutal killing by a British Army officer in Nanyuki, her loved ones say accountability remains painfully out of reach. Her niece Esther Njoki is now warning that whether the British and Kenyan government likes it or not, they must pay for the atrocities committed against Agnes Wajiro. Take a listen.
There's a child who was 5 months old. Now she's turning 50. She's at the age where now she's even 50. And the rest that even the Secretary of State for Defense, but she never answered because even the child had requested to meet the former Secretary of State for Defense, but he never replied. And it's because she's now understanding. She's aware of before they have done compensation, and she's asking, well, is she still suffering? Well, these people are not doing anything. UK has been known to having, it's a rich country, it's not like they're not struggling like us. Why are they not compensating? Because I believe if her mom would have been around, now she's depending on my mom, who is also ailing. She has been ailing for months. She has not been going out, and so seizing the mental phone. You can imagine, there is a time she called from school, and the first thing she asked was, is mom okay? How is mom doing? You can imagine what is going through around huyo mtoto kwa yake, anakaa kifikiria at least mama wangu angekuwa na maisha mzuri ama angekuwa na nipokea. She's even concerned that she might lose the aunt who's taking care of her. So it's difficult, I can guarantee you. It's not rahisi, but we are trying. I'll not give up. I'll keep pushing. But for the meetings, I told you very well, I'm not going to attend any other official meeting with you guys until the meeting that you call Unite kama either mmechukua a step or the reason that mediation zimeanza for compensation, because that one, it's not an exit. So usiniambie ati we are after money. It's not after money. You should compensate because of that child. When Agnes was killed and you have this guy get away with it, whom did you expect to raise this child? I mean, that's what we are not negotiating, and I'm not fearing. Compensation is a must. That one is a must. So either you like it or not, you must do compensation, and that guy must be I mean, the law in a person, he should be arrested and brought to jail for whatever he did. So it's a wrong process we are expecting. We're still hopeful, even after termination. I'm still there. I'm praying God to keep me long so that one day nione haki ya Agnes. So my journey to the UK, it was not really at city. I didn't want to go. Like, I mean, it was because of the frustration, and I was being forced because there's this child when I'm taking me. You can imagine how she feels that the family is inajua penye iliendelea, but hawapush kesi ya mamake kuendelea. So that's why I mean, it's because I'm also seeing she's struggling later, because you can imagine on Mother's Day how she feels. She cannot, anaweza kataa kuniambia mimi, but as a human being, I've lost my dad, so I know how it feels like. So I went there to push. Na nijua nikataa kufanya wanapaswa. I'm still going back this year for the same. So, we are not, I mean, I don't know why. I've said it so many times that they don't have that goodwill. Because if they have goodwill, one day we want to come victims. If they're doing something that is transparent, or maybe they're concerned about us, they should be the one coming. But it is always vice versa. Even with the Kenyan authority, it's always vice versa. Yeah, so I mean, it's a long journey, but we are here to secure a good future for the generation that is coming. Because hatuwezi kubali this thing to be continuing time kila saa. Yeah.
Now that we understand they're about to renew their agreement with the Kenyan government, what's your opinion?
I mean, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace and even hypocrisy from the Kenyan authorities. I remember, I think before in 2021, I think they said that they will not renew the contract until Agnes' case has been solved. It has not yet been solved. Why are you renewing this contract? Again, the inquiry was out last year, November. Have they followed up to see if what they recommended has been implemented? No, even I doubt. From all the issues that were raised during that time, there's nothing that has happened. So I don't know what they're renewing for. And it can show you that they don't care about the victims, just care of what they're getting from these British people. And as a country, we need to change. We need to change because we cannot be selling out our people because someone is coming here to trade. No, that's a no. So if they want to renew it, because as people, yes, we have sovereign power, but hatuna ile nguvu sana ati tunaweza sema haitasaidiwa. I know they still go ahead and sign it, but again, tutawachia tu Mungu, because we have tried this for sure. Everyone knows it has always been the media, it has always been reported. We have tried, but it's the system that is failing us, the government. So sometimes kuna zile vitu unasemanga, wacha tu tuachie Mungu, tuvuna Mungu. God will vindicate us only.
Wanafanya kwa sababu ni haki yetu watufanyie. Na pia sisi kama kwa wakaaji wa Laikipia hatuoni ile ati faida kubwa na wanatufanyia kwa siasa kutusaidia wanatusaidia. Na hata tunaona sana hawa village shamba wale wenye wanaajiriwa pale, unakuta siasa si watu wa Laikipia, ni watu from another counties. Wakati kama tu una laini huwezi faulu. So kama mimi ningeulizwa warudi kwao. Yeah. Thank you.
We have seen recently the French government, through their President Macron, signed a security defense agreement between the Kenya and the French governments. Of importance to note is that the French army has been given impunity to conduct
their activities in Kenya without being facing the law or being prosecuted. So what we are saying is that these defense partnerships are not pro-people and are not helping the Kenyan people. There is no tangible benefit that is coming to the communities, the local communities from these agreements. And we are seeing continued harassment, intimidation, and violation of human rights by this British army. So for us, as human rights defenders, first, we are calling for the quick expedition of justice for the victims who have suffered as a result of these activities by the British army. And secondly, we are calling for the full compensation of these victims. But more importantly, we are talking about the issue of sovereignty of the Kenyan people. Article 1 says that all sovereign power is vested in the people. We have seen recently the quarantine facilities being set up here in Laikipia and in other parts of the country. There has been very little public participation in these activities, and yet Kenyans who come out to peacefully demonstrate have faced police brutality, and we have so far about 3 counted cases. What we are saying is that it is time for the British Army to pack their bags and go out of Kenya. We're actually giving them an ultimatum, and because we know that they are in tandem and they're in cahoots with this current system, we are calling on the Kenyan people to demand their sovereignty through what we're calling a constitutional process. One, we can either raise a referendum, because a referendum, the issues of a sovereignty come through a popular initiative. As we speak as a movement, we are currently doing a referendum on the issue of taxation, but we feel strongly that perhaps it is time to also include the issue of whether the British Army should remain in Kenya or not. And the Kenyan people have the power to collect 1 million signatures and petition through IBC for this to become a referendum, one of the referendum questions. But more importantly, should we have a change in government? We are saying that there has been historical injustices here, like if you're starting from land injustices. Over 50% of this county belongs into the hands of what we are calling the remnants of colonialism, right? And we know very well that there's a lot of mineral wealth in this county, and we are very sure that these British settlers are here because they want to exploit these minerals at the expense of the local community. And so we are saying that it has come a time when, as Kenyans, we are saying no to this neo-colonial.
Yeah, so I don't know if you all agree that it is always for their own interests. Yeah. Just as I said, as a country, we don't know what to fight now. Hatujui to fight nini. Hatujui tulie to scream because of corruption. Hatujui tulie because our friends have been killed brutally and murdered just because they have gone to protest against the hardships that we are facing as a country. Hatujui tulie to protest kwa sababu ya the issues of land grabbing. Hatujui tulie kwa sababu ya maneno kama haya. Hatujui tulie because of the issues of taxation. Hatujui tulie juu ya nini. Hata wenyewe sasa macho itachoka. Where Kenyans have reached, their eyes are tired. Their eyes are tired. People out here are crying. Huh? The time the mafuta ilipanda, I don't know, I sent a video, nikawatumia hapa video. I was just going to town and people were just walking from town to their homes. You could just see a group of people like, I think it was more than niliweza kuchukulia video katikati. I think it was more than 200 people that day who are just walking from work to home because they can't pay fare. Fare imepanda, utalipa fare ama utaenda kulipia mtoto fee ya shule au utaenda kulipa nyumba au utaenda yeah. Kenyans wamefikishwa kwa ukuta. Hawajui walilie nini because everything is they're supposed to cry for almost I don't know which percentage I can give it, but a very high percentage of the things that are happening here in Kenya is what people are supposed to cry for. But people, even the people themselves, are tired. Their eyes are tired. Huh? Yeah. People's eyes are tired. That's why there is just some interview that I was just watching. The guy was talking about how this is a regime of terror. A regime of terror. In whose hands are we safe? In whose hands are we safe? Let me just try to... 3 foreign armies. Is it that I hope the next person who is coming to this seat will make sure and do away with this kind of agreements. Hope mtu mwenye anaenda kuingia kwa hiyo kiti next year si mtu mwenye atakalishwa chini ya papaswa kwa mabega aambiwe sikia baba, this is how we do it, this is how we roll it now. Hope hatakuwa mtu kaa huyo, because if it's somebody like that we won't stop crying. So mwenye anaingia hapo aingie alinio. We know these systems that have been created over time from since hizo nyakati za kina Kenyatta, this kind of systems and this kind of relationships that we still hold with the colonial masters are the ones that are kind of creating some of the problems that we are experiencing as countries. Hizi vitu ambazo forefathers walikaa chini wakaelewana na hawa watu ndo zinafanya tunapitia haya mambo ambayo tunapitia sasa hivi. So yeah, no situation is permanent. We can all decide and secede from this kind of things. Yeah. So I've also seen there is this umeona hao kwa Museveni Martha Karua amerudishwa. So Kenya ni kama tunaenda kuishi tutaanza kuishi in such a state. Kenya naona tunaelekea na huyu mzee. There is this I think it's podcast or something about generally about Kenyan politics and how the 2027 elections will be. And also they also talked about what the 25th protests are about as opposed to what people are saying. Na kuna huyu lawyer, a whole professor of law, Kindiki. Anyway, sometimes I don't know how to term these people, because the way Kindiki is talking is the same way I can just mobilize some guys there from the village. Una that guy who was born in the village, akaenda shule hapo kando ya nyumbani kwao, akamaliza akawa the same area, has no exposure, never gone out of that area. Yeah, just the same way that these Kenya Kwanza politicians are speaking. Sijui ni switi gani wanapewa. I don't know which ni pipi gani wanapewa hiyo. They can't use their brains. Wenyewe wanajua chenye walipewa ama chenye wanatumia. Anyway, let me just try to connect my laptop. We see if now it will behave so that I can play this video vizuri. Let's just see if it will work. Let's see if it will work.
avoid it. And we say so because every generation in our homeland has had the Saba Saba rebellion of 1991 was a madman rebellion that broke every law at play. It gave us the This is a fifth estate, a conversation between young Professor Mutahinguni.
Sorry guys, it's like this thing is not working. I just have to go the normal way. It's like I'll just have to play it the normal way because it's like, yeah. That way it will be quick. It's like they're kind of talking like the Gen Z revolution being postponed based on the threats that are being given concerning the 25th protests. Yeah, there we go.
This is the Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fort Hall School of Government in Nairobi and Professor Mutahinguni. This week, the Gen Z rebellion is back, and we will take an unfashionable position regarding it. At the Fort Hall School of Government, we are persuaded that the country should embrace this defiance. It should not avoid it. And we say so because every generation in our homeland has had two options: to build fires that purify our motherland, or to wrap decay and rot in ribbons of many colors. The Mau Mau War was labeled a terrorist movement, yet it liberated our country and gave us Kenya. The Saba Saba Rebellion of 1991 was a madman rebellion that broke every law at play. It gave us the democratic dispensation we enjoy today. Then came the 2007 Civil War. It produced the 2010 Constitution and reordered our politics. We did not avoid its contradictions. We embraced them. And if all generations of our motherland have contributed to its power architecture, the Gen Z generation must play their role in history. We must allow them to build fires that purify the soul of our nation. Problem. The Mau Mau War had a grievance. The Saba Saba Rebellion had a cause. The 2007 Civil War had a story. What is the Gen Z story?
What the Gen Z want is not a rebellion. They want a revolution. They have decided to build fires that purify the soul of our nation, instead of wrapping decay and rot in ribbons of many colors. But did you know that the French Revolution lasted for 10 years? The Russian Revolution lasted for 17 years. The Zimbabwe Revolution of Independence lasted for 30 years. And the Kenya Liberation War lasted for close to 50 years. Question. If the Liberation Revolution in Kenya lasted for 50 years and you are a Gen Z, where will you be in the year 2076 when the new revolution will be completed? You will be 81 years old. Ruto will be dead, and you will be telling your grandchildren that we did a revolution against Ruto. Then they will ask you, who was Ruto and why did you revolt against him? If the Mau Mau War had a grievance, the Saba Saba Rebellion had an agenda, and the 2007 Civil War was about downsizing Kikuyu privilege, what will history record about the Gen Z rebellion? What was it about 50 years after it is over? What is more, leaders of the Saba Saba movement of 40 years ago have captured the Gen Z movement. Question. Can the Gen Z rebellion use an old map to get to new lands? Zero.
I am a Gen Z, and I submit that we have been cheated by political dinosaurs like Mutunga, Karua, and Orengo. They are using an old map to get to new lands. We must chart our own path. This is why. A Gen Z died during 2024 demonstrations. When he arrived in heaven, in search of a better Kenya, St. Peter ordered him to spend 1 day in hell and 1 day in heaven. The Gen Z was to choose which of the two was a better Kenya. On the first day, St. Peter put the Gen Z in a lift and lowered him into hell. When the lift was opened, he was astonished. Hell was actually beautiful. It was made up of beautiful homes, big cars, waves, and happiness galore. Everything opposition had told them. The next day, the Gen Z was taken to heaven. God and the clouds were boring. They had no cake. After the experience, the Gen Z was asked to vote. And naturally, he chose hell. Then, he was put back in the lift and lowered back to hell. When the doors opened, he was shocked. Hell had changed. It was dark, dirty, smelly, and nasty. When he asked what had happened, Lucifer replied, "Yesterday, we were campaigning. Today, you voted. That is the difference. The dinosaurs cheated you."
Dear Gen Z, I am one of you. But this is what I read from the rhythms of time. The revolution has been postponed. Reason: you have no grievance, no cause. You have no gunpowder to light up a revolution. Let me explain. Both Moi and Kibaki killed 5,000 Kenyans in 1992, 1997, and 2007 through ethnic cleansing. That was a recipe for revolution. It was agreement. But revolution did not happen. Under Uhuru Kenyatta, a woman was paid by NHIF to give birth 600 times through an operation. She gave birth every 6 days for a whole 10 years. But there was no revolution. Another woman gave birth 10,860 times and was paid by NHIF to do so. She gave birth every day for 29 years, and the public paid for it. If this was not a recipe for revolution, what is it? During the Mau Mau War, the colonizers killed 50,000 people. The war against the colonizers and the Liberation Revolution was justified. During the Saba Saba Rebellion of 1991, Moi had eaten the budget plus the surplus budget. The Moi state was the worst reign of terror in Kenya. Revolution was needed, but it did not happen. Then, Kibaki killed 1,500 people in the 2007 civil war. But revolution did not happen. And so we ask, what will ignite this Gen Z revolution?
Now we must ask a question. Is this Gen Z rebellion real, or is it a paper tiger revolution? We ask this because Ruto in crisis is like a fish in water. Give him a crisis, he comes out more refined. Give him a good time, he cannibalizes himself. Sun Tzu taught us that if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you will fight 1,000 battles and win 1,000 battles. And the question this begs is this: do Gen Z know themselves? We doubt it.
Hope mnaisikiza, mnaipata. Just connect my devices. It's So based on the maandamano yenye nakuja, it's like they want to postpone a revolution in the name of gunsu wanakuja maandamano. They don't have anything else to say. That is the only thing that they can use. Mnaona huyo?
And do they know Ruto? Zero. How will they go to war with an enemy they do not know? Ruto did not stroll into State House on the red carpet of legacy. He battled his way through the mud and the thorns. He braved the crossfires of entrenched dynasties and municipalities of power. He could not rely on inherited networks and old money. But each obstacle he faced was a sharpening stone that made him better. However, when he became president, he relaxed. He became complacent. He forgot that the harder the struggle, the stronger the grip on power. That a man who battled through mud and thorns to become president must rule as though he is always one step away from defeat. The Gen Z uprising of 2024 reminded him this, and he is ready for them.
Yeah, so as I told you the other day, the greatest threat and something that this person is fearing is the wananchi revolting against him. Only that. Only that. That is what he fears. He doesn't have anything against the wananchi, so there is nothing that he can say. You know, for politicians, he has chenye atasema kuwahusu. But wananchi atasema nini kuwahusu? Sasa tumwendee tu. Tumwendee tu. Anataka kupostpone revolution yetu. Ana mambo gani? Okay. There's also another video that they were talking about
office as an indispensable partner to the president, a stabilizing link in the executive chain of command.
Tuangalie hii wanasemaje. Hii wanasema yeah, the same nini yeah, the Fort Hall School of Government. Oh yeah, bado hapa wanaongelelea about Gachagua versus the Republic. They are asking, will Ruto win this war? So let me just anzisha it. We see before I go to the reign of terror.
This is the Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fort Hall School of Government in Nairobi, Kenya, and Professor Mutahi Ngunyi. A law professor posed a question to his class. It was in the form of a story. Once upon a time, 5 adventuresome students went on a dangerous expedition in the wild. As they were having fun and daring fate, a major landslide happened, and they were all buried in a cave with no route of escape. Hungry and cold for days, they had no chance of survival. No food, no water, just misery. In this state, the students had to make a serious decision. They had to kill and eat one of their colleagues. This was the only survival strategy they had. And so, they cast a dice to select the student to be eaten. The luck fell on student number 5. The other 4 students overpowered him, killed him, and ate him up. This is how they survived. 10 days later, the remaining 4 students were rescued, but they had eaten their colleague. And it was a criminal offense to kill and eat a student. They were charged in a court of law. But the question raised by the professor was this: did the 4 students commit murder in order to survive? Yes or no?
This is known as the case of the Spelantian explorers. If the 4 students had not eaten their best friend, they would be dead. But because they ate a student, they lived to see another day. However, after they survived, they had to face the law. And the question was, under the circumstances they were in,
Were they murderers? This question was posed before a number of judges. One side of the bench declared that the law is the law is the law. Whatever circumstances the four students were in, they killed and ate their best friend. They must therefore die. The other side disagreed. They were led by Justice Foster. His argument was simple. He declared that when the reason for a law ceases to exist, that law ceases to exist as well. If you abide in a cave with your best friend and your best chance of survival is to eat your friend, which is illegal, you must be judged differently.
Umesikia? I think they are relating it to that relationship of Ruto and Gachagua. If I'm not wrong, because I didn't watch the whole thing. I think they're relating to the story of Ruto and Gachagua. The way these colleagues walikula friend yao so that they can survive. But let's listen.
In the case of the four Spelantian students on the verge of death, the law became irrelevant. Justice Foster acquitted the four students. The fact that they had eaten a student was declared irrelevant by the courts. Yes, when the reason for a law ceases to exist, that law ceases to exist as well. By impeaching him, the Senate ate Gachagua, and they enjoyed it. They were led by a Christian called Amason Kingi. This house of political cannibals ate a whole deputy president. Then, his lawyers went to court. They complained that their client had been eaten politically. Like in the case of the Spelankian explorers, the Senate of Cannibals had an excuse. If Gachagua had not been eaten, the country was in danger, and the courts agreed. Using Justice Foster's logic in this case, the judges declared when the reason for a law ceases to exist, that law ceases to exist as well. Were they fair? As the devil's advocate in the court of public opinion, I have a thought. The Constitution created the DP office as an indispensable partner to the president, a stabilizing link in the executive chain of command. The DP is the president in waiting and commander-in-chief should anything happen to the president. But should the relationship between the president and his deputy collapse completely, a question must be begged. Does the law that created this relationship still serve its constitutional purpose in that moment? Or does this law become an instrument that preserves the survival of the person occupying the DP position? If the purpose for which the law was created ceases to exist, does the law exist?
As a young student of law, I am allowed to practice in the court of public opinion. And here is my take on the Gachagua versus the Republic case handled this week by Justice Ugola as presiding judge of the bench at the High Court. 1. This bench focused on the purpose for which the constitutional office of DP was created. Then it delved into the holder of this office and whether he was suitable to hold the office or not. The judges told us that the purpose for which Gachagua was put in that office had ceased to exist, and the law that put him in that office had also ceased to exist in the moment. That is why they upheld the impeachment. 2. The judges gave us a twist. They told us that the manner in which Gachagua was removed was unconstitutional. It violated his rights. A contradiction? Allow me to break this down. The DP position is an institution. Its occupant is an individual. The individual and the office must be treated separately. If the purpose for which the individual holding the office ceases to exist, the law that protects him
also ceases to exist. Gachagua was impeached because his purpose had expired. Then he was given 50 million because his rights were violated. Was this fair?
Summary of the Rigiji judgment. 1. He will run for president in 2027. Until he exhausts all legal channels all the way to the Supreme Court, he is still eligible to run. Fact. 2. If he runs, he will split the opposition. And he does not care. This is the stuff that politics is made of. Politics has laws too. If the purpose for which a law in politics is created ceases to exist, that law ceases to exist as well. The law of opposition unity died at childbirth. Gachagua will run in 2027 with or without the courts. Take notice. 3. Question. Is it better for Gachagua to run in 2027 and fail, then try in 2032 and succeed? Should he disorganize opposition in 2027, then 2032? Is this the Kikuyu plan? Finish opposition in 2027 and then get a clean field in 2032? If Uhuru Kenyatta is the grandmaster in this game, then the Gachagua judgment is just a diversion. Come 2032, after opposition has collapsed, a new candidate will emerge. Clean, competent, and a son of Jomo. We have said this severally on this channel, but this is our Sabbath truth this Sunday. If the Gachagua judgment does not make sense, it is meant to make Muhoho Kenyatta president. Crazy it might sound, but watch the trend.
I don't know what your view is on that. The other case nimeona Gen Z wamerespondia Ruto.
Now, 3 years after the anti-finance bill 2024,
Gen Z wamereplaia Ruto and his team since wamekuwa wananinio watu. Let me just
protests that left 62 people dead, only 3 cases have made it to court, with IPOA citing investigative.
hata nimesikia mambo ya IPOA nikashangaa. Wanasema kesi 3 pekee ndio zimefika kotini.
Hurdles. The upcoming anniversary comes amid a political standoff with President William Ruto accusing the opposition of peddling propaganda over calls to reject the 2026 finance bill. Even as the government insists June 25th will be a normal working day, youth groups say they will hold peaceful processions to honor those who died. NTV's Laban Shaban reports.
President William Ruto has intensified his attacks on the opposition ahead of the Thursday's anniversary of the June 2024 anti-finance bill protest. Ruto dismisses the calls to use the occasion to rally Kenyans against the 2026 finance bill.
Usitumie fitina katika kujaribu kuendesha siasa yenu.
Political tension is building with fresh figures from the Independent Policy Oversight Authority, painting a sobering picture of the quest for accountability over deaths linked to past unrest. IPOA registered 62 deaths arising from the 2024 anti-finance bill Gen Z demonstrations. As of June 2026, only 3 cases have reached the court, with the rest at various stages of investigation, review, or closure. With Thursday's anniversary events drawing closer, the government has warned that criminal elements could exploit the gatherings and trigger violence.
Why commemorate lives lost by endangering others, destroying property, and seeking political gain? Why use solemn occasions to incite unrest and division?
Government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura maintained that June 25th is not a holiday.
Citizens are urged to move forward and work that day constructively to build our economy, leaving unrest behind and uniting in fostering peace and national cohesion.
Meanwhile, youth leaders under the Linda Mwananchi movement and university student leaders have outlined their plans for Thursday. They are accusing some government officials of making inflammatory remarks ahead of the event.
They have even gone further by threatening to kill youths who will show up to the commemoration with statements from a very dishonorable member of parliament by the name Kimani Kuria, stating directly that he will cut the necks of the young people of Kenya that will show up to the commemoration.
Over the weekend, Molo MP Kimani Kuria warned against attempts to use the planned demonstrations as a cover-up for looting and destruction of property, reiterating that Kenyans have a constitutional right to protest peacefully.
It is a right that belongs to the people, and the people will exercise it whenever and wherever they see fit. To the men and women in uniform, we speak to you not as enemies, but as fellow Kenyans. An order to fire upon unarmed citizens is an unlawful order, and no law of this republic requires you to obey it. Remember who you are.
Organizers say they have formally notified police and are seeking security assurances. Authorities are warning that anyone who attempts to disrupt the gatherings will be dealt with firmly. Nabon, Shaban, NTV.
So umeona, people are just planning to go for peaceful protests, but the government on the other hand, they're just bringing up their own things. Like I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're just trying to bring their own things. So kama kuna mtu atachoma, has anyone amekuja hapa kwa screen anasema atenda kuchoma vitu ya mtu ama destroying people's properties? There isn't. It is the government that is saying that.
Download Global, order food, groceries, or anything you want and track it until it arrives.
The next thing that I wanted to look at is that reign of terror. Wait, the nini of Methu. I've just seen Methu pale destroy Kasongo Olkalou. We all know what is going on in Olkalou. We've heard the rumors of what is nini, vile watu wananunuliwa godoro, sweta, chakula. Kwa unaambia sasa kama una chakula, wenda tu Olkalou, hautalala njaa. You'll not sleep hungry. Na jana niliona ninio ilichomeka tena. Gikosh. I don't know what is really happening. I don't know. So, this government, by talking that way, they simply want to postpone a revolution. They know wanajijua wenyewe na there are reasons as to why hawataki maandamano. Wanajijua, there are reasons. Si ati hawajui. Hebu acha nisikie Methu alisema yeye.
Amewindwa hapa wiki mzima. Kuanzia Monday wanamuinda. Kufika Friday wanamuinda. Kufika Saturday wanamuinda. Mimi nikamwambia niko mwezi.
Tuone ni nani huyo ana window.
Amewindwa last week mzima. Kuanzia Monday wanamuinda. Kufika Friday wanamuinda. Kufika Saturday wanamuinda.
Mimi nikamwambia Wajiko Mwea, sisi ni watoto wa Maumau. Hakuna kujificha. Hakuna kujificha. Tuende kwa hiyo polisi yao. Kama wanataka kuweka wewe ndani, waende wewe ndani. Mimi nimeingiza Wajiko Mwea hapa ndani. Hiyo mtu anaitwa CCIO. Akasema yeye hana kesi moja na Wajiko Mwea. Olkalou ye. Olkalou ye. Sasa mimi ninasema wewe William Ruto. 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 Mimi nataka nikueleze. Waje kusumbua kina mama. Juzi tulikuwa tunashika jendi jana. Sasa leo nataka kushika Wajiko Mwea. Hata ushike sisi, mambo yako ni one. Hata ushike Wajiko Mwea, mambo yako ni one. Arambe. Sema one job. Wewe William Ruto. Wewe mwizi. Wewe muuaji. Wewe mwizi. Wewe mwizi Ebola. Wewe mwizi kushika Wajiko Mwea. Songa enda siende. Achelewa sielewe. Afukuzwe afukuzwe. Wajana wanasema afukuzwe. Afukuzwe. Jambo ya pili. Wewe msema nakwambia kama naibu sana yako. Na sasa hivi mimi nimejaa ngoli mbaya sana. Sasa hivi nimejaa ngoli mbaya sana. Sasa hivi ndio nimechemuka. Uso usije bana yangu mbaya. Mimi narudi wewe Kasongo. Kama unataka kushika bomu. Basi. Nimeambiwa ati kamera Kasongo anaangalia hii hapa. Weka Kongo wewe. Weka Kongo wewe. Weka Kongo wewe. Wewe. Sisi tumesimama nje ya polisi ya Olkalou. Tunamwambia wewe Kongo. Hata na kina mama. Kila mwanaume kama wewe. Kama hapo usije Mungu. Wajana Wajiko Mwea. Sio mimi ndio mtu ya kushikwa. Wewe Kongo wewe. Nilikwambia wewe. Ninakuheshimu lakini wewe Kongo wewe. Nilikwambia wewe. Ninakuheshimu lakini Onegai. Siku hiyo wewe Kongo ulikuwa unalia hapa. Ukitembea kama Mount Kenya. Ukiona picha na Uhuru Kenyatta. Ukilia machozi na makamazi pamoja. Ukitafuta watu wakusoma na wewe. Watu walisoma na wewe. Ni watu ya Mount Kenya hii. Hawa ambao unachezea wewe. Watu walisoma na wewe. Ni Wajiko Mwea hawa ambao unawinda kama wanyama. Wewe Kasongo tunauliza. Uko na stari na kina mama. Juzi ulifika kwa Kiara. Saa hii unakimbiza Wajiko Mwea. Wewe. Ametuzoea.
Umesikia hiyo? Metu ameunda wimbo hapo tayari.
Sasa kwa sababu mimi nataka kwenda kambini. Nataka niwakaribishe Simba. Mama kamili. Ametisha wanaume. Anaitwa mheshimiwa. Wajiko Mwea.
Watinini wanataka kuitisha. Wanaende tukati. Tumesema tukipeleke. Mambo ni matatu na hayabadiliki. Moja, chama ni QCP hapa Olkalou. Pili, mbunge ni Somi Samau. Ya tatu, ile wanataka wanishike nayo ya tatu.
nasema hapo kwa DCI. Hawa walikuja wakafika gari ya Wajiko Moya. Hawa DCI walikuwa wamefika gari ya Wajiko Moya. Na mkaiba vitu hapo ndani. Ukachukua kofia ya DCP. Ukachukua nguo za Wajiko Moya za nje na za ndani. Hiyo walikuwa tunawasikia kwenda nao wale brother kwenda naye. Oye. Jambo la pili. Wale askari wako kwa ile gari iko pale. Kwa sababu mmeheshimu sisi. Wakati sisi tutachaguliwa kuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, tutoe takataka inaitwa Kasongo. Nyinyi tutarudishia ile heshima mlikuwa nayo. Tunaingia kwa ndani, tumeona vile mnakaa mnaishi maisha mbaya. Unalia tu kama sisi. Hata mzuri kutupiga tia gasi. Nyinyi ndio tunatetea. Tafadhali mzuri kutupiga. Mnavisha kutuliko. Unalia kutuliko. Tukizika serikali tutasaidia nyinyi. Mimi nataka niwakaribishie bunge yetu anayeingia Mheshimiwa Sami Kamau Waweru.
But let's listen to the candidate, what he's saying.
Mpaka ule mama amevaa yellow, karibieni hapa, karibieni hapa, karibieni hapa. Karibieni hapa. Karibieni. Hata wale wenye wakufanya mbali karibieni. Kuanzia ule mtu ya mekanika amejishika chini ameweka miwani juu kama mimi. Mweusi kuliko karibia. Tena mtu mweusi kuliko ndio mtu mweusi kabisa. Asante seneta. Turudi hapa sasa. Tuko sawa? Ndio iko sawa. Tuwe sawa. Ndio muweze. Kwa 16. Atakuwa hawera. Wacha nione wanalipia kazi za 16. Mama ndio wapata. Maybe somebody should interpret to me what he's saying, because sielewi hapo, kidogo nimepotea. Yeah, so I hope you've seen how Metu can move crowds. Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to look at is this thing to do with is it a reign of terror or something like that? This guy was talking about a reign of terror before we call it a day. Where is he? A regime of terror. But before I go there, I just want to show you another video here. It's a very funny video. Yeah, Oscar Sudis Jr. I tell you, if Gachagua sees this video, anyway, let me just show you. Mpaka nikashangaa hawa wazee, hawa wazee wana mambo gani? Wazee wameamua aje?
kuweka sukari yetu na sudi inaenda juu, saa ingine inaenda chini. Lakini sisi tunapenda rais wetu sana, si ndio? Next week tumtafute. Next week Tuesday tunaenda kumtafuta. Kwa sababu sisi ni watoto yake. Na tunapenda yeye sana, si ndio? Na ile shida yetu ni moja tu. Hatutaki waachane na Ruto. Stulia kidogo. Bwana wacha Ruto. Tunaomba. Tunaomba. Asante sana.
Guys, which kind of drama is this with these people who love Ruto? I saw this and I was like, that's where we have reached as a country. Anyway, what did you expect from Oscar Sudi and the friends? We've reached a point where men are crying because they... Anyway, let me just go into the reign of terror. Focus. Yeah. I was just putting this video for you because it made me laugh and I was like... and they are seriously crying. Anyway, no. Let's look at the regime of terror. Kabla tuite siku.
Singapore, looking at what politicians are doing. They're paying young people to throw stones, carry pangas, machetes in this country. Is that where we're going to be in 2027? That's my conversation today with Philip Kisia. Great to see you. I'm seeing you with your newspapers. How are you?
These are for yesterday,
They're for yesterday.
but we shall make reference to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing this particular week?
Well, I mean, I'm okay. A bit disturbed, but okay.
A bit of disturbed, but okay. Before you even get to your reflections, I was listening to the president Friday saying one of your principles, Analala, the other is one term, that is Shagwa, one term MP, saying Kalonzo doesn't even have a track record. What are you telling him as opposition? Yeah?
You know,
that is the president.
You know, and Jed, please don't try and cheapen this program by making reference to non-issues. That's cheap talk. In fact, I'm surprised that you make reference to such cheap talk. That's bad talk. And I'm surprised that the president can talk that way. Yeah. Because I know he doesn't drink uji. Yeah. He's a man who drinks good things, musik. Yeah. So you're cheapening this discussion, please. Yes. But since you brought it up.
Yes.
Yeah? Since you brought it up, let me respond. Is there a man who doesn't sleep? A man should sleep. It's only human that you must sleep. The problem is when you sleep on the job. President Ruto has slept on the job. Yeah?
You know, umesikia your first statement, eh? Was it Juicy or Jan when he was complaining about Matiang'i sleeping kwa mkutano? Yes. So Kisia just told us and took us direct to the point. Matiang'i amelala kwa mkutano. Nani huwa halali? Yes, Matiang'i amelala kwa mkutano. Lakini Ruto naye is sleeping on his job. I hope imemfikia huyo Kasongo.
The man promised heaven. The man promised Singapore. What has he delivered? He has delivered hell. He has delivered pain. He has overseen the death of our children. He promised to deliver fuel at 100. It's at over 240.
He promised our children diapers. He has not even given a single diaper. He promised sanitary pads. He has not given you or your children. He promised handles. Handles. The man is sleeping on the job. So if Matiang'i is taking a nap, he has slept on the job. Who is better? A man who is taking a nap and reflecting, or a man who is sleeping on the job?
You're saying Kalonzo's doesn't have a record.
Yeah, Kalonzo has no record. I agree. Kalonzo doesn't have a record of stealing, theft of public funds. Kalonzo doesn't have a record of taking people's land by force. He doesn't have that. Kalonzo has not been convicted of any crime. Kalonzo is a family man. You can trust Kalonzo with the family. He's not a man who, has issues all over. Not what I'm talking about yet. Yeah. Issues all over, all over. You go to heaven, there are issues. You go to hell, there are issues. You come to the sea, there are issues. A man who's overacting. Kalonzo is a family man. Remember the Constitution in the preamble, it talks about family. Yes. You must start at the family level. Yeah. If you cannot be trusted at family level, you cannot be trusted at national level. Yes. So yes, I agree. Kalonzo has his record. Yeah. If you are saying it has a poor record, yes, it is a good record on the flip side.
Tumedrop the hottest snack game na Cadbury Lunch Bar. Imetengenezwa na layers of peanut.
And on the other side, I don't know what you can talk about. It's the opposite of what I've talked about Kalonzo. Yes. You know what I've talked about Kalonzo? Yes. On the other side is opposite. If I've said Kalonzo, he does not grab public resources and there's no stolen land, public land, on the other side, you know what the answer is. Now, you mentioned the other person. You say Gachagua.
Saying he's just a one-term MP.
Gachagua, Gachagua is sending butterflies to men. Gachagua is giving him sleepless nights. Because if Gachagua was a known entity, would you be making reference to him? If he's a one-term and he's a nobody, why are you bothered about him? You're bothered about regarding Gachagua because the man, the truthful man, and he owes me a goat. Gachagua owes me a goat.
You're the one
who started this thing of the truthful man. So he owes me a goat. So Gachagua, continue injecting. And as you promised the Kenyans that you will make sure that until he goes to Goi, he'll have sleepless nights.
Remember, this show has been brought to you by Spark Cleopatra. Of course, we're going to listen to your reflections of the week. Spark Cleopatra is located. It's located at Nyangumi Road. You can visit them at Nyangumi Road. You'll find Spark Cleopatra there. What they do is here the nail services, executive barbershop, body treatments, steam bath. They also have massage. Call the number on the screen. Visit Spark Cleopatra today. You'll feel how I was pampered, as you can see on that
Sorry
screen.
for the ad, man.
Zone. What have you been reflecting on this particular week?
Jed, this is a very serious one. And I've been thinking about it. The innocent deaths of our children. Some were 16, 17, 18. They died brutally. They were brutally murdered by this administration. And if anybody thinks or imagines that some of us will ever keep quiet, we shall continue to talk about the deaths of our children until we go to our graves. Because, natural attrition is clear that it is us who should go before our children. But when you oversee the murder of our children and you want us to keep quiet, we shall continue reminding those who are part of this administration that they brutally murdered our children. Play out that video.
And the 25th maandamano is to remind them whether they like it or not.
Where the president is talking about compensation and admitting that his administration caused pain to the parents of this country. Play out that video, man.
No compensation can restore a life lost. No reparation can fully erase the pain of a parent who buried a child,
Ni mkora huyu.
a spouse who lost a partner, or a family forever changed by tragedy.
You know, the man has admitted in a civilized jurisdiction, in a civilized community, in a civilized society, William Ruto, at least, if he still has some humanity in him, if he just has some little space that is human in him, I think this day, the day he was reading that statement, he would have done something better. But let us at least appreciate the fact that he has admitted death cannot be compensated in whatever form, death. And this death was actually inflicted. It was not a natural death. Those deaths were not natural. People shot our children. So he said, you cannot compensate. I give Matic. He said, no amount of reparation can compensate, can cure death through murder. No amount of compensation. It doesn't matter. So at least to that extent, I must accept that at least he has admitted that our children should never have died under the arms and hands of his administration. He has admitted that we must put this on record, that this must go on record. He has also confirmed that probably he has been reflecting since 2024, 2025, 2026. And if the man had been reflecting, he would have honored the Gen Z by coming up with a beautiful finance bill. But look at the finance bill. It is putting actually salt on a wound. So which means that he has never accepted or admitted his mistakes. He should have honored the Gen Z.
Yeah. Compensation is not a honor to those who died. And what is being said is true.
This bill, finance bill of 2026 should have been in honor of the children and saying, please, I beg for mercy. From particularly the mothers of Kenya who made him president. He was born by a mother. If he doesn't, even if he doesn't like our mothers, at least he has a mother. If he doesn't like other women, at least he has a wife. I know he has a wife, Rachel. So even if he does not value other people, for the sake of his wife, Rachel, and for the sake of his good mother, he should have honored the Gen Z by coming up with a bill to remember these children. The second reflection, Jed, you know, it actually touches on issues to do with bad governance, mismanagement, corruption, poor governance, poor leadership, and poor everything. Kenya Airways used to be the pride of Africa. Kenya Airways had more than 30 aircrafts at some point. Now we have less than half of that number. 30 years later, 30 years before, we had a fleet of over 30. 30 years later, we have, I think, half of that number operational. And almost all of them are on lease. And you still want to call yourself the pride of Africa. I actually feel sorry for my friend, Kiprono Kitoni, who has been handed over a carcass for an airline. Why he accepted that appointment, he's yet to explain to me. But I keep on praying for him that he'll do some miracle, that in his term, I think it is 3 or 4 years, whatever it is, that we'll see some miracle happening, and Kenya shall be saved from the verge of collapse. But, you know, we've had, again, I don't want to completely blame President William Ruto. I think even my friend Uhuru must take some blame. He was there for 10 years. Why did he make effort to revive this airline, which is a pride of Africa? We use it for marketing purposes, market our country. tourism, even cargo, the flowers, horticulture, what have you. We just we've allowed it to collapse. And because President Ruto came in as a smart guy, as a smart fellow, he promised miracles. He promised to take us to Singapore. He seems to be even worse. He has performed worse than Uhuru Kenyatta in terms of, reviving our national carrier. We have lost routes. Our fleet has reduced, and we are selling our assets. Heathrow was sold, the hangar at Heathrow and other places. Now we've even been told that the Douala route has been suspended. These are signs of an airline that is about to collapse, and then it is made worse. Those who cancelled the Greenfield project that should have made Kenya a hub in aviation in East and Central Africa. Then you now bring some Zimbabwean, some huge fellow, who, when he arrives, is given VVIP treatment. I have never been given that treatment, and I'm a Kenyan, and I've served this country. And a fellow comes here, huge fellow, top VIP, received by state officers, given a red carpet. Who the bloody hell is he? But we see him posting photos, dining and whining with the first family. I've seen photographs with him and President Ruto. I have seen this man in photographs with Rachel Ruto. Who the hell is this fellow? Who the hell is he?
See, as Churchill says, he's
Who
learning
the hell
about
is he?
him the way you are
Who
learning
the hell
about
is
him.
he? That's BS, man. That's BS.
Let's listen to
Churchill. Cut that BS, man.
I think he only features in the media. He's not anywhere in our documents as a bidder. He's not anywhere in our documents as a partner to any of the bidders. So we've just seen the way most of you have seen it in the media. We don't know him, and he's not participating in the bid as a solo or as a partner to any of the bidders.
That is Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Churchill, saying he's just learning about Shavayo the same way we
Really?
are.
Then he should have been sacked.
They are not
if his boss knows him, if his boss entertains him, if his boss wines and dines with him, if our airport receives him on the runway, receives him, and this man, Churchill man, is in charge of that airport and doesn't know, this fellow should have been sacked. I'm telling you, the level of incompetence in Kenya Kwanza government will never be matched by any other government that will come in the future. I'm telling you.
Never be matched.
But you see, let me tell you, President Ruto promised us Singapore. He has done his 4 years. We are now starting the 5th year in a few days. He is not even near Ethiopian Airlines. Not even close to Ethiopian Airlines. He is not even close to Rwanda Airlines. Even now, Uganda Airlines are overtaking us.
Uganda what?
Uganda Airlines.
Yes.
Now, if we can't even match the airlines in the region, Rwanda, Uganda, even TZ, I think is doing better. ET, we are not a match to ET. Shall we even get to Dubai or Etihad or the new airline that has been introduced by Saudi? Are we going to get even close Etihad to the Emirates and what have you? I mean, the level of incompetence exposed by this government is mind-boggling.
That's why I told you, like, there is just a lot to cry about here in this country. And even us as citizens, tunashangaa tuanze na kulia gani, because the president is not giving the people a break. Hapei watu break. But anyway, all in all, I think tomorrow when I come, I'll just start with this. I have to rest so that I wake up asubuhi kwenda kazi. And I wish you all a good night. Thank you for those who came. In studio, I was joined by Mama Mary, and I'd like to say thank you and wish you all a good night. Yep.